Between Trump's election and his inauguration, the Biden administration flushed 93 billion of your dollars, Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer, out the door to crony companies and crony NGOs.
Mr. Secretary, I want to go back to some of your earlier testimony, be sure I heard it correctly. The 76-day period you're talking about, that's the period between the time that President Trump was elected and President Biden left office. Is that right?
That is correct.
And during that short period of time, 76 days, how much taxpayer money went out the door of the Department of Energy?
From the Loan Program Office in loans and commitments, $93 billion.
$93 billion to NGOs in 76 days.
Well over twice as much as in the previous 15 years.
That's worth repeating. So the money that went out between when Trump got elected to when he was sworn in is twice the amount that was ever given out by this program over the prior 15 years.
So how do you vet and do due diligence on a loan in 76 days? One loan, much less $93 billion. How do you do it?
You don't.
I think it's probably pretty clear it wasn't done in many cases. As I mentioned, I'm told I'm holding back clearly in place stuff. There is lots of funds that have gone out the door and commitments that were made from businesses that provided no business plan, no numbers about their own financial solvency or how this project
So you're telling me,
hey, it's only the taxpayers' money, right? I mean, no big deal. Like, I mean, it was the same way when you got your mortgage, right?
the Department of Energy, in the 76-day period before their boss was going to leave office, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
No financials?
Correct. A number of those were before the 76-day period as well. I've come in with great concern about how this institution, this great American institution, has been run and how American taxpayer money has been handled.
The administrative state does not care. I say this as somebody who has kicked around Washington for over 25 years at this point. They don't care. They don't think of it as your money. They don't care.
I'm sorry everyone's upset that we're taking some time to do it, but what we've seen and what the record shows
I'm
is
not
just
upset. Could it be that a lot of people say you haven't returned your calls? Could it be that you and your colleagues have returned the calls, but the people calling just didn't like the answer? Could that be a possibility?
I'm not aware of that. You know, I give my cell phone number to any senator that wants
I know you
it,
do.
and I return my calls.
I mean, has your department gone dark? Somebody said your department's gone dark. Is it dark over there?
It doesn't look dark behind me.
I don't see any of you sitting on your hands. Somebody made that charge. I see everybody's hands. Let me ask you something else, Mr. Secretary. Does anybody ever come to the Department of Energy to get some of this free money and lie to you?
Of course they lie. But the thing is, for a long time at the Department of Energy, they wanted the people coming for this free money to lie to them. That's how the system works.
I have not experienced that, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that has happened.
Does anybody ever come to you? Is it conceivable that some of these folks that heard about this free money came to you with a half-baked idea?
I think it's very conceivable. In fact, I've seen such plans that were half-baked would be charitable.
Half-Baked is a good movie.
That didn't have a business plan, right?
Correct. A promise to develop one, to find a location.
Just give me the money and I'll develop the plan later.
Correct.
And now you're going back through, not money that's already been contracted, but you're going back through and checking each one of these loans and these grants to make sure there was no stealing, aren't you?
We are. We are.
Make sure there was no incompetence, aren't you? Is that correct?
We're looking at that, and yeah, my blood pressure is rising right now just thinking about what we have seen and what did happen at the department.
And you're going to tell some of these boondoggles no, aren't you?
That's correct.
And they're going to be upset, aren't they?
That's correct.
And
Oh, yeah, they're going to be mad.
they ought to be upset, shouldn't they?
I don't think they should be upset. I think they should be ashamed.
They should be.
It's rare that I'm speechless. But I want to be sure I understood. The people running the Department of Energy for President Biden's administration shoveled $93 billion, not million, $93 billion out the door in 76 days, and it just happened to be the time between when President Trump was elected and President Biden, their boss, was leaving.
Seriously, if you think about it, it was a bazillion-dollar legal, mostly legal, probably heist of the U.S. taxpayer.
Is that right?
It is correct and distasteful. Confidence undermining.
My God. Look, I hope you take whatever time you need to go through all of these projects penny by penny. I mean, I've heard this testimony today. Well, it'll cost jobs in my state. If somebody steals $50 million and goes and spends the money in their state, that's going to stimulate the economy, isn't it?
Yes, it will.
But that's still stealing, isn't it? And it's still illegal, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, they were spending money at the Department of Energy like it was ditch water. Their budget went from $60 billion to $160 billion since fiscal year 2021. It just sounds to me like there were a lot of people coming to the Department of Energy who had all 4 feet and their snout in the trough. And I hope you'll turn down the boondoggles and refer the thieves to the Department of Justice.
Seems reasonable to us.
We will indeed. Senator, the one complication in there, too, is mixed in there are good companies doing good things honestly with credible plans.
And you're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. That's our job, and we're doing it. But there's a lot of chaff.
Let me ask you one final question. Let me go back to how many employees you have. Now, there have been some allegations today that you've cut tens of thousands of employees. Is that accurate?
Well, I think the allegations were thousands, and our head count will ultimately be reduced by thousands.
And this is a very good thing. Government really can be cut massively. This is just a teeny tiny little bit of what has to happen and may happen, actually, especially with the emergence of AI.
We are doing it slowly.
You've got 16,000 now?
Yes.
And you think you can do it with fewer than 16,000?
Correct.
What's wrong with that?
I think it's just common sense business.
Yeah. Businesses do it every day in the real world.
American taxpayers deserve it.
That's never happened in the federal government.
That this is true is absolutely crazy. Think about it. Government has never, in the history of the United States, ever actually been seriously cut. That is nuts. In a world that is infinitely more efficient than it was just 20 years ago, the fact that government has expanded during that time, where the rest of the world got much more efficient, more value for each working hour, that makes no sense. And hopefully, for the sake of the taxpayers, because Lord knows we pay enough in taxes, hopefully the size of government can finally begin to be reduced. The tide can be reversed. But it is going to take a long, long time to get things in order. It has taken us a long, long time to get where we are now. So rolling all of that back is going to be a very, very long haul. Good luck, everyone.